Hi everyone, Internet PCS book reader here. Today I want to talk about Axiom and by Lindsay Ellis. The author Lindsay Ellis in the YouTube sphere is known more for being an essayist. As far as I know, she did not make the genre, but almost every video essays worth their salt definitely took some inspiration from her for how they wrote their essays and how they produced them. She stopped making videos for a while because of a very dumb reason that was entirely none of her fault except for one arguably very funny poor choice of word that she used on the virtual hellscape that is Twitter. And after that, she only makes videos for the Nebula platform before coming back a few months ago with a video tackling the Beatles and the Yoko Ono conspiracy, which is a great video by the way. She wrote this first book, I think in 2020, 4 years ago, which is wild how time flies like that. It's one of those books that I wanted to read but kept putting them aside, and then suddenly there are two sequels for the book. So while this year I wanted to start to get into more long series like a trilogy back on my reading list, I thought I might as well get all three of them and started to go through them to see if they're anywhere near as good as her video essay. The story of the trilogy, or maybe more, starts with an email from August 27, so we know the era the story was in, most likely inspired by the author's own experience as 90s girl. In the mail, we got the sender acknowledging the frustration of the person being sent the mail about the difficulty in understanding the language of Sefo from the Femder group because the sample of the language is as small as 97 seconds. With a lot of the information being omitted, the only thing we know from this email is that the person who received the email is a language expert of some kind. Put this on a pin. The story then moved to September 2007, where for the first time we see our main character Cora not having a good time. The used and better cut that she paid with her own saved money finally breathed her last breath, and she was already late for work. So in desperation, she reluctantly asked for her mother Demi, who is also about to go to work, to drive her to work. They were driving to Cora's work, which is not the same way to Demi's work, when she noticed that a suspicious black car with no driving plate was following them, a car that Demi surprisingly recognized because she often saw them follow her to work. It might just be a car that is somehow always on the same way at the same time as her, but it could be a tail because they wanted information that Demi or Cora might have about Niels Ortega, a name that for now we only know through the news about a controversial leak from a website named Broken Seal that we heard from a radio that is playing on the car. They and we only heard parts of it because Demi changed the channel immediately after hearing his name. So far, the book had really good use of exposition. It drops a few hints like ampersand event and the Fremda memo, but it didn't stop the flow of the story because they did not overstay their welcome. Cora arrived at work finding the car that stalked them in the parking lot, which is worrying. So when he was greeted by her co-worker Eli, who is a bit too into conspiracy and leaks that is done by Niels Ortega, who we finally know is Cora's father by the way, she decided to tell him about the car, wanting to just talk about it with someone, which is a mistake because instead of helping her, he called her having a daddy issues and make her have run to the toilet and hide there to have a panic attack. After she calmed down, she finally checked the website that her father ran, the Broken Seal, that is obviously the WikiLeaks version of this work, where her father mentioned her and her two siblings on a random op-ed, which might be why she was being followed. Before she can process all of this mess, a meteor was seen falling into the direction where a month ago, another meteor that is known as the ampersand event fall. I love how the information is being sprinkled a little bit at a time. But this meteor caused the building glasses to shatter, and during the panic, Cora decided to go ahead and go home early. Even when the meteor and calls about the truth and free speech from the internet caused traffic jam. She eventually got home to find her aunt there playing Oblivion for some reason. Luciana, the aunt, used to work for the government before they fired her around the same time that Niels leaked the ampersand event. They talk about Niels and the meteor and the cars that tailed her until Demi and her siblings Felix and Olive are home. Demi was angry that Cora left her job without telling anyone, and she got fired because of it. And not only that, the job Kaiser Permanente was a job that Demi recommended Cora as a client, so they also used that as an excuse to get out of their contract with Demi's work in People's Format Tech, making her lose one of their clients, risking her own job. They were about to go into a yelling fight when an intruder came into the house, Saul Kaplan, CIA. They talked, or more like he threatened them about not joining Niels and not saying anything to the press. This is still in 2007 in BlackBerry era, so not everyone had recording device at the ready yet. After intruding on the family personal space, he left. Whatever Demi and Cora's problem now seems forgotten because of the visit of the agent. Demi went off crying herself to sleep, and Luciana left after giving Cora a burner phone, and Cora went to her room to read Niels' letter that she hides before she saw some movement in front of her house. She checked and found nothing at first. She hoped against hope that it is nothing, but whatever she saw eventually came inside her house and used her computer for whatever purpose. The intruder woke everyone, including both her siblings, and when she saw a glimpse of the intruder, she had to run both of them back to their mother's room before being able to take a good look at the intruder. Whatever they were, they don't look human, and somehow they put the family to sleep using some high-pitched noise. They didn't sleep for long, and everyone seemed okay beside all their phone being dead and one of their dog Thor is missing. Cora went to find Thor despite her family urging her to stay, and she found Thor just near their house sniffing on a footprint of what looked like a giant bird. She managed to command Thor to go back home, but while she's checking the footprint, black SUV started to head to her home. When she called home, her mother urges her to run instead of going back home, so she ran. She ran towards where the footprints were heading since she was running away from her home, just like the home intruder. And when she arrived at the swamp, she was attacked by something, enough to paralyze her for a bit. When she woke up, she was alone in the marsh. The only one she can call right now is her aunt with the burner phone, so she called her. But since her aunt is already out of town, the only thing she can do for Cora is to send someone to pick her up. So she headed to the nearest dentist to wait for her rescue, Bert. Bert took her out of town to where Luciana and a few of her co-workers were hiding. They were from Refugee Organizational and Settlement Agency or ROSA, and they were all fired around the time the second meteor arrived, and a few of them has even been captured, so they were hiding for now, not knowing what to do next. So far, the characters are interesting. Cora is a fish out of water coming of age kind of character, and Niels is the kind of dude that is only in it for himself, at least from what we know so far. And for the others, they weren't in the story long enough for us to know more, or they were still hiding something for us to actually know them, but they and the mystery aspect of the story carried the storytelling. Cora eventually changed her swampy clothes there, and after what feels like an interrogation from the group, she decided to go out of the house for a bit to take a little walk to calm herself. It was then that she finally saw the alien, and not just glimpses of it, but their entirety. The alien implanted something in her ear that made her understand it, and it also made her comply to its order. And then it took her to infiltrate Google, which didn't go well because it is literally an alien trying to act like human and failing to do so. It also didn't help the alien that Cora is partially regaining control of herself so she can say a few things that are not in the alien script. She managed to blurt out a bomb threat that got her captured, and when there was a sudden blackout in the area, she escaped. She don't know what caused the blackout, but when she's out, she saw what looks like Brett's van and decided to open the door when she saw the alien pass out at the back of the empty van. Whatever caused a blackout in the area took the alien down. The van also can start for some reason, and in a skin that feels the most plot convenient so far in the story, she drove away from the alien still passed out in the back of the car. The alien finally woke up, and after an encounter with some random police, they drove further to a desert where, despite everything we've been told so far, the alien and Cora had a conversation. He called himself ampersand, most likely because it was the word that the human language was designated to it, and the blast that caused the blackout and rendered him unconscious was from alien from the second meteor, Opelus, that is more militant and was planning to eradicate ampersand alien race, the Fremde, a galaxy ethnic cleansing so to speak. For now, Cora and ampersand decided to form an alliance. Cora will try and help find where the government keep the alien race, and if she found where they keep her family, ampersand will help her rescue them. It's one of those unexpected ally kind of story. Not knowing what to do next, they decided to contact Luciana, and from her we got more information and world building here explaining about Luciana and Rosa's involvement with the alien group they captured before they decided to contact the CIA. More specifically, Saul, the guy who intrudes on Cora's house at the start of the story, and from then on, everything surprisingly went smoothly. The American government, Cora, ampersand, and the Fremde that he were looking for all meet, and after some negotiation, they decided to protect ampersand and the Fremde until they left, and Opulus should go after them since they're only after ampersand group. Then the American government can wrap all of this mess and keep it hidden from the public, and they can all go home. But we're not even halfway through the first book, and there are 2 sequels after this, so that's definitely not what's going to happen. Cora has become the first ever human in the story to ever have direct communication with alien, and any negotiation so far has been through her. Language barrier and alien is a concept that has been done. The one on the top of my head will be the movie Arrival, and although the context of the story is different, R.F. Kuang's Babel is also a good story about language and culture. In Cora's case, she now had to find out why ampersand group did not just leave if the alien who are after them wanted to kill them and spend their time hiding in lowly human-made bunker. But before she can find out, Niels leaked an audio of Bush knowing about the alien, which means that there is no longer any hope of hiding the fact that alien exists. The The government needed someone to blame for the leak to Niels for now, and the only one they can blame is Luciana since he used to work for Rosa, so they captured her. As if that's not enough of a problem, another blackout happened in Guam, most likely from the other alien. So the military started to demand for answer from Ampersand. The Secretary General himself came to ask for a means of communication with them. That is not through Cora. The pressure started to get to Cora and she had another panic attack after a long while, and the one who tried to cheer her up is surprisingly Ampersand, and just for a brief moment, they had a moment. And they keep having moments as they spend more time together. They even sneak out of the military bunker at one point to travel using what is surprisingly teleportation device now that Ampersand has fully recharged his strength. A Chekhov teleportation device if you will. She started to trust Ampersand more and more, but she received confirmation that a conspiracy she was afraid that the government can do to erase memory was not done by the CIA, it was done by Ampersand. And just when she has given up and just accepted that she was a tool that was stuck with being used by both her government and the alien, the bunker they were hiding shook. They were attacked. Obelus has finally arrived. Cora managed to escape with Sol bringing the genome with them, and now that they've seen what the Obelus are capable of because of the attack, they need to figure out how to stop them from ending human civilization, since Obelus' superior race will most likely want to eradicate humans sometime in the future now that they know about alien existence. And while they were talking, the genome hatched into another alien life form, a small alien girl, the sister race that the Obelus has eradicated. They decided to move to a more secure place when Obelus attacked again, and with a lot of effort, Cora carried the genome with her into hiding, and they managed to get away by hiding in a truck to get away. And the one who rescued them is surprisingly Luciana. She has been released by the government and has gone into hiding when Cora's burner phone texted her about where she is, most likely Ampersand who located her from her tracker. Then finally, at the end of the story, we had a confrontation between Cora, Ampersand, Obelus, and the genome, where we find out that Ampersand and Obelus was, in our language, lovers. But during their fight, Ampersand prioritized the safety of Cora, who he had cared for, and bonded with her in a genetic level that seems to cause some mutation on Cora's mind. Obelus was injured and has been outed as also another friend race. The race that the superorganism wanted to eradicate, so his fate is unknown. The genome seems to die during their last fight, which if she did, that means her race was cleansed after all. And Niels turned out to be aiming for the spot of being the worst narcissistic dad ever. But for now, Cora's family is back home and the only alien she cares for is by her side. The world building is top-notch. The author's understanding of sociopolitics created the sociopolitics of the alien species that was similar but more intense version of ours. And then it was placed on top of our own sociopolitics because the setting is still on Earth, and it made for a very engaging contrast of both parties. It helped that the aliens are much more capable than us despite their number being much less, so it became a bit existential. There are also a few scenes that feel like the plot armor and the plot convenience is a bit on the nose, but everything still makes sense narratively, and there are some really good foreshadowing scenes early in the story. Honestly, it's not bad for a debut. I give this a 3.75. What do you think? Let me know if I miss anything, so leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it. See ya.